Okay, so now we're going to walk through how to perform a condition report. So condition reports are basically comprehensive snapshots of the current physical condition of an item. It's best to do them anytime that an item goes into the exhibit or comes off exhibit, before or after any conservation or restoration work is done on the item, if the item is moved from one location to another, and definitely when an item is first accessioned or loaned. So as soon as an item comes into our possession, we do need to be performing condition reports, and if we are ever loaning anything out to another institution. So Past Perfect already has a system for completing condition reports. So what I'll do is walk you through a completed one so you can see what that looks like and how to best perform it. So to access the condition reporting function, you first have to get to the item's catalog record. So as always, I'll go to all catalogs and I'll just find the first one that I know for sure is on display and has a condition report completed. I believe this one does. So we've accessed the record. We're now going to click edit and scroll down to condition. And we see here with that green dot, that tells me that there is a condition report completed on this object. So I'm going to click the drop down arrow. And here we see the existing condition report. So if I were to create a new one, I would click new report and it would pull up the interface for completing the report. We don't need to conduct a new one right now, and I can show you the same techniques for doing a report by pulling up the existing one. So to do that, I will click on the report itself, and this is what it looks like. So there are a few different pieces to consider here. First, there's the date of the report. So that is the date that you are physically sitting down with the item in front of you and taking a look at it. Then we have the type of report. We click the little icon to the right of the dialog box. We see all of the different reasons why a report might be completed. So there's just your basic condition report, conservation, damage. So that would be if something has happened recently to the item that we're aware of and we need to document that damage. Evaluation, incoming report. So that means if something is coming into our collection. Inventory report, outgoing report. Again, if it's on loan and it's leaving. Post exhibit, pre-exhibit. So has it come off exhibit or is about to go on exhibit? Routine report, treatment proposal, and treatment report. For most cataloging purposes, you're mostly going to be using condition report, which is just your routine report. You could also use routine report. They mean one and the same. Post exhibit, pre-exhibit, and incoming report. So if the item is not coming onto exhibit or leaving exhibit and it's not newly accessioned or newly coming to HAMC, it's already in our collection and it's just a routine report, you're going to click condition report. That's the majority of the things in here. You select one of these by double clicking as always, and it'll automatically fill that dialog box. And then you select a condition. So these are standardized terms across the museum field that give a general overview of what is the stability and or condition of this piece. Is it excellent? Is it fair? Is it good? Is it poor? Is it stable? Or is it unstable? You'll very rarely use not rated. I haven't used that in any of the reports so far. And really, this is a best judgment kind of thing. If you have any questions about which of these most accurately describes the condition of this object, you can look at some of the other reports that have been completed, look at the status of those objects or items, and see if it's kind of on par with the one that you're looking at. So same as with with type of report, you're going to double click in here to select the condition. And then we move down. We're not going to worry about this down here. So these are things you don't need to worry about. We're going to go over to the right side here, and we have a few different things to work with. So first, there's the state of cleanliness. So what is I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. What is the state of cleanliness of the item? Is there grime on it? Is there dust on it? Does it need to be cleaned? Is the grime reaching a level where it's obscuring a specific or an important part of the piece? Then we have condition of surface, condition of materials, and condition of parts. So you will fill these out differently depending on the type of item. So for example, if I'm working with a book, which is what this is, I would fill out different reports, not different reports, but I'm going to fill out condition of surface and condition of parts separately. I'm considering the surface to be the book cover, and then the parts, I'm considering the pages and maybe the binding. Then we have condition of structure. So that's going to be a more generalized way to explain how intact is the structure itself. So is it whole or intact as this book is, or is it maybe missing a piece or unstable? With condition of materials, this is something that would make sense more for an item that is made up of multiple materials and is not easily described as having a surface the way that a book would. So an example of that would possibly be an item of clothing or a pair of shoes in which you have both leather and maybe wood, two different materials making up the piece. Really, with selecting which of these you want to fill out, it's best judgment. So what makes the most sense to you? Does this item clearly have a surface? Does it not? Are there multiple materials, or is it kind of made up of one? Is it easily broken down into parts? And then the way that you make the most sense of that is going back up to description of condition here and being really clear about what you mean when you say surface. So when I'm talking about surface for this book, I mean the cover. When I'm talking about parts for this book, I'm talking about the pages. So let's talk about then selecting what you're using to fill these out. So for each of these, it's the same action as in a lot of these dialog boxes. You're clicking the icon to the right, and this will bring up a big list of all the different types of decay or degradation that can happen to an item. For most of these, there is a description to the right. For some of them that are more self-explanatory, like with bent, there is something missing. What you're going to do is go section by section and look through this list and see if you find anything that describes something that you're seeing on the item. Again, you can take this up to 50 if you want to and just scroll through. You can do 20 at a time. You can do 10 at a time. And it's best to take this piece by piece. So for this, I have the book broken down between surface and parts. So I'm going to start with the surface, right? And I'll start with the front, I'll look at the spine, and I'll look at the back. And as I'm looking, I'll scroll through and I'll select the things that describe what I might see by clicking the box to the left. Then I'll move on to the pages, same deal, click the icon to the right, scroll through, and see if you can find anything that best describes what it is that you're seeing. Once that's finished, like we were saying earlier, you go to the description of condition and you really elaborate on the words that you selected here. So it's not enough to just say that you see a tear on the surface, right? We need to know where specifically you see that tear. Now there's a standardized way of doing this for things that you can lie flat. Typically it makes sense for something like a piece of paper or really any media that is on paper or can be laid flat, like I said, or is in more of a square rectangular shape. It makes a lot of sense, or most museums will kind of slice that item into quadrants and then use terminology to describe where the degradation is seen by using quadrants. So usually that reads like upper left, top center, upper right, center left, center, center right, lower left, bottom center, bottom right, or something like that. As clearly as you can indicate where that thing is, and try to keep the same language throughout the condition report. And then the final part of it is adding images. So there are no images for this report yet. They have been taken, they just need to be uploaded to Past Perfect. The images that you're going to upload will be of the specific things that you've observed here in the description of condition. So eventually there will be a picture here of the small tear in the upper left-hand corner. Eventually there will be a picture here of the small hole found around the first binding staple. Overall rules here, when in doubt, if you see something and you're concerned that either A, it is an issue that could progress like corrosion or mold, make sure you document it. Or B, there's some concern that it was caused by us. So did we do this? That's something that needs to be documented. The other thing to keep in mind is just to be as clear and specific as you possibly can. So in the end, it doesn't really matter if you want to use my type of language or your own type of language. As long as you're being consistent with that language, you're describing it as clearly as you can, and you're backing it up with images. So it's really, really clear to whoever's coming next what it is that you're describing and where, then you're good to go. So let's say you filled out the whole thing. I actually missed something here when I did this. So you also want to say who created the report. So that was me. Double click it to select. So everything's filled out here. We're good to go. We're going to click Save. It'll ask you if you want to update the catalog record current condition. We say yes. Click Save on the catalog record, and you're done.